Welcome to the StockMiner.com studios here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your stock miner, Brian Johnson, making professional trading simple. We had a flat day in the markets. Markets are consolidating, getting ready for what their next move would be, and guess what my bias would be? It must remain neutral to bullish in the very short term here till this, whatever it is, plays itself out. If you're an Elliottian, hard to believe that this isn't some sort of a wave 3 just grinding its way upwards. That's usually what these things do, grind their way upwards, grind themselves downwards. All kind of depends. The wave threes to the upside tend to just put the bears in a lot of pain, and that's what it's doing now. Now, it's not distancing itself at any great lengths. If you'll see, like today, for instance, we didn't go up, we didn't go down, and we still have to look at this as bullish. So as long as we don't go down, it still remains bullish in the shorter term. As you can see, the Dow did manage to finish up. It was the strongest of the three today, but that means nothing because it's usually lagging behind the others. So while the others were kind of flat, maybe down a little bit, the Dow is just trying to catch up to the rest of them. If we look at it on a daily, you can see poking its head above and now moving above the highs here. Once again, just simply following what the SPX and the NDX have been doing. So while the SPX and NDX are way above, the SPX maybe not way, but the NDX for sure way above where this high was back in January, the Dow is just now finally starting to do it. We'll see if it rolls over and starts its way downwards now. Still a ways off before we can start predicting that. Gotta remember, this movement here is all bullish. Now, we didn't get much of a push to the upside, so if you dissect it, this wasn't really much of a move today at all. But as long as it stays up top, it is bullish behavior. Looking at the NASDAQ now on a daily, you can see that all we're seeing is slight move up again. So not much on the NDX, but still bullish behavior. Up is up, guys. Price is up. And that's what we're seeing up here. We'll see if this can eventually make its way back to that 1960, 1970. That's my next overhead resistance level. Why? Because that's where I drew my line in. There's actually a real reason for that. But 1960, 1970 is where I'm looking at for overhead resistance in the NASDAQ. Fully expect it. Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't it get there? There's nothing telling me that this can't push a little bit higher and eventually reach that spot. Maybe even tomorrow or early into next week. SPX on a 60-minute, pulling back ever so slightly today, but it was just a very, very light pullback before hitting the 20-period moving average here and holding very nicely, coming right back to basically break even on the day. From a daily standpoint, you can see it come back, and this was very evident early in the day. As we started moving down, this was one of the first charts I looked at, and I could see that this overhead resistance was holding beautifully. Beautifully. There was actually a confluence of support at this place. So this 1160 area is going to be the first nut to crack for the bears as they maybe eventually make their way out of hibernation. I don't know about you, but we had like a 70-degree day here yesterday, and it's decent today. Got to start waking up some of those bears eventually. And so we did see a test of this overhead resistance. Let's see if it does what this kind of did over here. Maybe another little push up before coming back down. Maybe it just bases along the top of this, but doesn't find the gas to go much higher and continue, and then falls down. Either way, we're looking at that 1160-ish area for our first real break. 1150 ultimately would be a lot more bearish in the longer run. So watch this little hold up here. All we're seeing right here is a what? Yes, a high base formation. Man, if you guys don't know what a high base formation is by now, you need to pay better attention to my videos, or you're brand new to these videos. One of the two, because that's all we've seen is a move up high base, move up high base, move up, kind of a pullback here, I guess, and then a move up. Now we're looking at another high base. See if it'll creep its way upwards as well. On the weekly, same thing as we're seeing on the NASDAQ. We did break above. We were at kind of a double topping area end of last week. We pushed above it today, squeezing our way up to the 1165 area for the time being. Tomorrow's Friday. I don't know. Maybe some volatility tomorrow. Really didn't see much volatility this week. Just a slow grind up most of the week. We'll see if that continues into tomorrow. If it drops back down, watch the 1160 area. If we make it back down to this 1150, that will put in a very nice gravestone doji, giving us a potential reversal candle again on the weekly. Would be kind of a pretty looking candle in a very logical place if that's what we get. Still might have one more week to go before we get that reversal candle, but we'll see. VIX on it daily. This thing has just been falling apart. Still down, hanging down here at the lows. Just kind of trying to find its footing, but look, this is exactly what I talked about last weekend. Coming back down here to close or at least touch this lower line here. That's the blue line and the green line, and it's working perfectly to TA. Coming back here, you can see it holding as support, working as resistance. So this line is a very important line for the VIX. Any break below that, I think we see a squeeze down towards this direction. Maybe, I don't know, man, maybe we get back into this area again. Very hard to tell. But I would be very cautious if you are, once again, trying to hold long overnight. With the VIX down here, usually means that there's a reversal coming soon, and when that happens, it's usually pretty hard and fast. That means the VIX will spike up and the markets will drop in pretty precipitously. Doesn't have to start right away. It might be a couple of slow days of down grind and then maybe one big day of drop. It can play out in a million different scenarios. Point being, the VIX is down to a support area and there's no fear in the market here. Apple on a 60-minute looking at 53 cents up, but you can see it just absolutely trying to find a direction in here right around the